Yeah, sure. He's got 3 units of raiding horsemen. Again, Prussian Prince is using Tylis. These guys have excellent multi-usage. You can use them to pepper enemy flanks and then get them inside enemy units that are weakened or skirmishers. And then the Prussian Prince has a strong line of tribal warriors that's being supported by Gallo-Thracian infantry. Again, as we say, some Celtic warriors on the side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tribal warrior line at the front. And then again, he supports them with weaker units in the rear. It looks like he's going to be using the tribals to pin down the enemy and then use his cheaper, probably a little bit more cost-effective in this odd circumstance units on the flanks. He does have 2 units of Levy Freeman and then an Oathsworn here, and his general over there on the right side is in a Noble Horse unit, so he has chosen to go for mobility. And that is the build for the Prussian Prince.
Both players have actually brought Noble Horse with their general. I would venture to guess that they are probably both strategist generals, meaning that they're going to use Frenzy Charge to get a bigger charge bonus, and then Second Wind and Battle Rhythm to keep them in the fight for longer and get rid of their exhaustion. For the front line for Llewlin here, it looks like he has a lot of Galatian swords, the kind of very cheap sword unit for Galatia, and a main line of legionnaires as well. And then he has some mercenary Syrian archers, which I didn't really expect to see from him at all. That's a new addition. Thank you very much, Reptilicus, for your patch 16 or 15 ideas, because adding Cappadocian cavalry and mercenary Syrian archers to Galatia really did make them a more viable pick. But I am a little surprised to see the archers on here, or in his build. And then he actually has some Cappadocian cavalry as well. So he's actually using both of the mercenary units, except maybe the naked swords that got added to Galatia. So he actually has some cavalry here. He has 3 relatively heavy cavalry units, and we'll see if he can get some really good hammer and anvils off on the Tylis line, because that cavalry could make or break the build for him for sure.
So, Prussian Prince actually did not go for the general you described. He went with the commander. He has Rally and Raise Banner.
Really?
Yeah.
And how can you tell that from just looking at it?
You pan over the unit and you look at the bottom left.
Oh, I see.
So maybe this was a mistake from the Prussian Prince. It would be interesting to find out from him later, but again, both players looking a little bit more cautious. Llewlin is going to be the one that's coming forward. He is using his units of Syrians here to start and do some dents in the armor of these tribal warriors.
I don't like that move at all. 95 armor unit from the front, on the front of their shields, that's not going to do any damage. Like, it might kill like two men in the unit. It's really not that good use of their ammo. I think you should wait until the engagement starts and then get them into a flanking position, because I guess 95 armored tribals, you're not going to do damage from the front at all, because there's a shield block chance, there's the massively high armor.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a good job from
those were good jabs from the line.
Oh yeah. You're right, the raiding horseman took a little bit of losses there.
Yeah, the raiding horseman took 15 men to not a single Syrian archer there. I don't know what the Prussian Prince was thinking. He got too close to his enemy's line. And again, the Prussian Prince looks like he's going to be kind of sitting up here to go of a more defensive style. He went with the most insane micro-intensive style, but now he's kind of just parking down, probably thinking about how he wants to break through this Galatian formation, and I think it's looking tough for him right now. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that the Gallo-Thracian infantry, Prussian Prince has, let's see here, he has 3 of them. I think they are going to be huge in this battle, because they can trade pretty well with some of the units that Galatia has here. Like, they won't obviously be able to deal with Galatian legionaries,
but they'll beat Galatian swords.
They'll beat Galatian swords, not comfortably, but they'll do well against them. And it's again going to be how he decides to engage one for one, as you said earlier on. We'll see how the Prince decides to engage this.
He has to be very careful with his raiding horse. Yeah, it's in range of the jab throws. Yeah, he's really close to that front line. I'm not sure what he's doing with that unit at all. That was a very strange micro from Prussian Prince. That was definitely a mistake. He lost that entire raiding horseman to just the stationary javelin throws of the Galatian legionnaires. One thing that Llewlin's already done really well this battle is he uses his Levy Freeman out on the flanks to screen the Galatian raiders out of javelin range, and that's really good, because it means that the javelins can't get the javelin cavalry can't get into range of the mercenary Cappadocians to start doing HP damage. Charge up the center.
Here comes a heavy horse
Cappadocian
charge.
cav. right into the front of the
good
tribal
brace.
warriors. They're braced, and they're high armor, and Cappadocian Cavs don't have the best charge. So good move from Prussian Prince. He shield walled as well, so they're not going to do a ton of damage here, but he did want to nullify the charge. And if he gets a charge with the Galatian Legionnaires, that is a great move, because he can nullify the charge bonus of the tribal warriors, and then counter charge with the Galatians. That's exactly what he did. I'm not sure how good the charge bonus was. It was a good charge bonus, actually. 30 kills already for Galatian Legionnaires.
That's insane. He also managed to get contact on this tribal warriors with his Galatian sword, so he's probably gonna win here and here. And look, his Cappadocians, they're still in there. They're doing a little bit of grinding, and now the Prussian Prince is trying to actually go through this gap. I'm not sure if this is actually gonna be doable. He's gonna lose lots of his gap here.
He is. And a bunch of the Syrian archers are going to shoot into them. And even the thing about these Syrian archers, they have 30 armor. Or 40 armor, actually, so charges from cavalry is not going to do a lot of damage at all, and he has a noble horse to protect them as well, so Prussian Prince is going to lose all his cavalry here. In the center, or at least all his javelin cavalry, tribal warriors are getting beaten up by Galatian legionnaires because of the really good charge from the Cappadocians, and Gallo-Thracian infantry losing to Galatian swords as well, so this is not going Prussian Prince's way at all. A lot of these engagements he's losing pretty decisively.
Look at this. Prince is he's doubling up in lots of positions here. Look at this. He's doubling up everywhere. He needs to be getting around and flanking, but there's too many units from Galatia. And I think now it's kind of becoming more clear to me why he chose his general choice. He needs to be able to raise banner and buff morale because his units are going to lose in these kind of prolonged engagements. He's going to now run up with his general.
A huge charge into Levy Freeman. Of course, not an important unit, but still awesome to watch. They just destroyed the Levy Freeman because they weren't braced at all. But yeah, I mean, for someone who brings the commander general, and I'm not sure if he already popped his abilities yet. Do you know if he did?
Yeah.
He did? Okay,
Prussian
then
Prince
yeah.
Or Llewlin.
Prussian Prince.
Yeah, Prussian Prince popped his ability.
Okay, well then yeah, that has kept his guys in the fight longer in the center here, but these engagements are not going particularly well for him, although this is a good use of tribal warriors. There are some Galatian swords that tried to flank, and they will get beaten to crap by the tribal warriors here over on the right flank. But in the center, I feel like Prussian Prince's line might be collapsing. He does have the Oathsworn unit that's relatively full strength, but there is a bunch of cavalry still in the field for Galatia.
Yeah, he's using that Oathsworn to try to it's like the last pivoting point in his line before all else collapses. But if we just pan over the army of Galatia, Llewlin's army in this game, let's take a look at some of his swords units before this game is over. Galatian Legionnaires, 143 kills. The next one, 144 kills. The next one, 112 kills.
Yep.
The next one. Like, he has just done exactly what I was talking about earlier. He has taken on this Tylis army pound for pound frontal engagement, and he's crushed it. He didn't really need to do much. Like, it's very difficult for Tylis without using the tools that it gets, like the jab cav and maybe a little bit of skirmishing and maybe some noble horse. But I felt the Prince just ran and wasted his 3 units of Jav Cav.
Yeah, he did.
And now it's looking like it's going to head to game number 3 here.
And his noble horse is taking a bunch of javelin throws from the Levy Freeman as well. And there's really nowhere for them to engage. He doesn't have enough time to get all the way around the flank, get into the mercenary Syrian archers. There are now hammer and anvils from Llewlin's general into the back of some tribal warriors and some Levy Freeman. So that collection right here is going to rout relatively soon. Over on the right flank, he has no hope of winning. It's very blobbed up for Llewlin, so the tribal warriors will be able to tank out for a while, but they're not going to win that engagement. And really the only engagement on the field right now that he could possibly win was the Oathsworn versus the Oathsworn, but actually he's getting shot by the Syrian heavy archers, and he's starting to lose more and more men, so he's not even going to win that engagement. The balance bar has shifted precipitously in Galatia's favor, and there's really not very much hope for Prussian Prince at this point, unless barring a miracle and the general's death for Llewlin, which might have happened because the noble horse are in red morale. We'll see in a second. General recently died. Galatia's general is dead, so that does matter, but I believe that Prussian Prince's as well. Yeah, his general's dead as well.
Yeah, you can see it did some morale damage here, but with the death of the Prussian Prince's general, all these units are starting to rout now. Again on the other flank, here comes the, what is this? GG.
GG.
GG called by the Prussian Prince. Again, well played. I think it was difficult for the faction choice here for Tylis to do anything, but Llewlin, man, he brought it, and he played it so well. Like, yeah, look at this army.
He really did.
If we take a look at the statistics overlay, like, this army choice was just phenomenal. You have 6 units of these Galatian swords, you have 6 units of the Galatian legionaries, You have some levy freemen to pin down noble horse if your opponent chose to go heavy on them. You have 2 really cost-effective mercenary Cappadocian cab to also do some cab screening and maybe blunt some charges, which he did in 2 different occasions on this battle.
Very well with that.
And then you have 2 units of mercenary Syrian archers to maybe bait your opponent into doing mistakes to try and kill them and overcommit, which is exactly what the Prussian Prince did. He used his 3 Jav cab, his raiding horsemen, he overcommitted, and he lost all of them trying to go for the archers. The first time he came close to the line, he got jabbed. The second time he did the same thing, and the third time he tried to go through a hole in Galatia's line, and that failed for him. And again, the kills say everything. Not enough kills there for the Prussian Prince's army. Each 2 men killed maybe 1 guy, if you want to look at it positively. So game number 3 is heading our way.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Cried.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Just a few more points about last battle. I feel like even with great Javelin Cav micro and them getting a bunch of kills, I'm not sure that could have changed it in his favor. I think a big problem is that, again, he tried to engage the Syrian heavy archers with the Galatian raiders, and even if they get a clean charge off into the Syrian archers, they have 40 armor, and their volleys will kill a lot of the Galatian raiders in 1 volley. So I don't think that even sending them after the Syrian archers for any other reason than to tie them down is a good idea, and it's not a good trade. If you lose the entire raider unit to an entire Syrian archer, I don't even think that that does anything really great for you. And he tried, and we saw it earlier in the battle, he tried to start whittling down the Cappadocians with the Javelin Cavalry. That's a really good move, but Llewlin knows the perfect counter to that, which is to screen the Cappadocian or the heavy cavalry unit with a Levy Freeman, which can absorb Javelin Cavalry if the Javelin Cavalry is on fire at will, or it can simply make the Javelin Cavalry stay away, and if they get too close, they're going to get caught by Levy Freeman and cut down in melee combat. So I think you're right. I think his build was really good. His micro was really strong, and my favorite part of that entire battle was sending the Cappadocians up the center to blunt the charge of the tribal warriors who have a good charge bonus, and then countercharging with the Galatian Legionnaires, because that won him the engagement in 2 separate instances. So really, really good move from him.
Start wavering and routing very quickly. You can see orange morale starting to pile up on this side of the battlefield. He is going to need to skirmish away from the red border, which is becoming closer and closer as he skirmishes out. But overall, I think he's doing much, much better than I expected initially.
Yeah, I think the engagement at the beginning was pretty hectic, and I was kind of surprised that he was able to pull out of it as well as he did, but he got some really good charges off with the Persian cavalry, which unfortunately, running up to the front of sword builds on